Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back again to another episode of the weekly newspaper analysis of the Assam Tribune. And যিসকলে ইতিমধ্যে আমাক ফলো কৰি আছা তোমালোকে সকলোৱে গম পাইছা যে আমি every Sunday at 7 a.m. we bring out the weekly newspaper analysis of only the Assam Tribune newspaper. So this newspaper, which is the Assam Tribune, it is the most important newspaper for your APSC preparation. কিয় কাৰণ ইয়াতে তোমালোকৰ লোকেল নিউজো থাকিব, নেশ্যনেল নিউজো থাকিব আৰু ইণ্টাৰনেশ্যনেল নিউজো থাকিব। চ' লোকেল নিউজ ইজ ভেৰি ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট ৱেন ইউ ৰাইট ইয়ৰ আনচাৰ্ছ, কাৰণ তেতিয়া তাতে স্পেচিফিক কিছুমান লোকেল মানে তোমালোকে কিছুমান এক্সাম্পলছ তোমালোকে নিজৰ এনচাৰ্ছবিলাকত তোমালোকে ইনক্লুড কৰিব পাৰিবা। সেইবাবে উই ফিল দেট that local news is much more important for you from an exam point of view, from the mains point of view. And also prelims-ot কেতিয়াবা কি হয় কিছুমান সৰু সৰু বস্তু সুধি দিয়ে। For example, who received this award and who has written this book and something like this, which are from a general knowledge perspective, it is not easy for someone to read each and everything. But when you follow this newspaper, you get the minute details of all these smaller incidents which help you prepare for your prelims and also for your mains. So আজি আমাৰ যিটো episode হয়, we are going to talk from 10th of August to the 16th of August. So you can follow us every Sunday at 7 a.m. আৰু যদি কিবা doubt থাকে বা whatever you want to tell us, you can just write down in the comment section. Okay? So on the 10th of August, what we have is we have border and security. So border and security news is important because BSF is pushing back thousands of refugees who are trying to seek shelter in India. Now the refugee crisis has become more and more important for us to understand after Sheikh Hasina has fled her own country. Now why this is important for us? First of all, we as Indians, we already have issued what is called as Citizenship Amendment Act, which will allow Hindu migrants who are who are persecuted in their own country to come and receive citizenship of our country. But here the situation is quite different. Here the situation is different because people who are trying to cross the border are mainly non-Hindu illegal immigrants who are just waiting for their chance to cross the border. And you must have seen a lot of different footages where people have been waiting in lines to cross over the border. And this is actually a very big thing for states like Northeast India, because Northeast India itself is grappling with problems of identity. And if there are lot of illegal immigrants who will cross over the border and come over here because of certain disturbance in their own country, it is going to have create more problems inside the territory of Northeast India and also in the states of West Bengal. Now since the border is almost of 4,096 kilometer of distance, so mostly now the most vulnerable regions have been the Coach Bihar of West Bengal and South Salmara Mankachar in Assam. Okay, now from the demography perspective, this is a very important news. Why this is important? Because you can include this in your answers. So if you're practicing anything which is related to the demography of this place, then you can understand this news. So the population of Hindus in Assam is decreasing, whereas the Muslims is increasing. This is something not of a political news, but mostly, see, first of all, this news was shared by our Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma himself. Now many of us might say that since he belongs to a certain political party, so he's trying to pitch out his own agenda. So he's trying to pitch out what his party politics best suits the policy and stuffs like that. But there are certain census data which has been presented in the report, and which from an exam point of view we must know and understand what these data say. Now Hindu population have declined from 70% in 1951 to 61% in 2011, and well, in Bangladesh also it has decreased from 22% to 8.5% over the same period. So the Hindu population in India have also declined. At the same point in Bangladesh also the Hindu population have declined. And on the other hand, the Muslim population in Assam have increased to, you can say, from 34% from 25% in the 60-year period, while the same rose to 90.4% in Bangladesh. Now this data what it tells us is, first of all, we cannot blame we cannot directly go and blame any religion and say that Muslims are increasing and Hindus are decreasing, but it tells a very big problem which exists in our society, the problem of forced religious conversion. This is something which we need to address. Now I'm not asking you to believe that all like that people have, the Hindu population have actually they have adopted the religion of Islam, and that is why the Muslim population is increasing. But we don't know. Maybe the Hindu population have also been forcefully converted to Christianity and other religions like that. So this may be the primary reason why the Hindu population have been declining. And plus, the as you can see, the fertility rate in the Hindu population is very low as compared to the Muslim population. Now the fertility rate also is low just because in the Hindu society it is much more liberal for a woman to come out and pursue her education and then get married at a later stage, and this is a societal thing which we have tried to incorporate in our society. But in the Muslim societies, as you can see, since the fertility rate is high, because the women there, they are not perceived as someone who can go out and pursue their education and who can do some sort of any economic activity. They are mostly seen as people, they are mostly seen as that category of citizens who are secondary to men, and their only job in this world is to procure children, is to give birth to children. So because of this narrative, because of this societal narrative, what is happening, so, the Hindu families are getting much more nuclear in size, and the Muslim population is getting much more extended in size. So this is much more demographic problem, but also at the same time it is more of a social problem rather than a religious problem. So we must understand that since the Muslim population, they are not very liberal in terms of providing education to their girl child, and they have focused entirely on giving the girl child the only responsibility of giving birth to children. So this is a societal problem which is there among the societies of the Muslim communities. So this is the reason why the children, the younger girls, they get married at a very younger age, and they are forced to give birth to a lot many children as much as they can, because this is something which is social in nature, something which they have not tried to change over the course of time. But in the Hindu families, we have adopted modern way of living over the period of time. We have understood that it is not okay for a woman to only be consumed inside the house and only be considered as a medium to give birth to children. So we have allowed a woman to go out and pursue her career and contribute as much as she can to the economy of the country. So this is mostly a problem which is related to the social perspective more than the religious perspective. Now from the award and honor, as I was telling you, there are certain smaller news, একদম সৰু যিবিলাক নিউজ থাকে সেইবোৰ কেতিয়াবা কি কৰে, প্ৰিলিমছত সুধি দিয়ে. Like for example, this kind of news, like Adil Hussain receives Kamala Saikia Memorial National Award. Okay, so এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ question কেতিয়াবা সুধি দিলে people get very confused, like who is Kamala Saikia and under whom did Adil Hussain get this award, in the name of whom. Now this is noted actor Adil Hussain, who received Journalist Award for Kamala Saikia Memorial National Award. So who was Kamala Saikia? Kamala Saikia was a very famous, a very renowned journalist of our state, and under her, in this memory, that Adil Hussain had received this award, and she was one of the martyred journalist and freedom fighter who contributed to our society. Now on the infrastructure and rail, we have Kokrajhar Gelepu railway link. Now this is a big news, considering that India has been losing the grip over its neighboring countries, and now since last newspaper, I mean yesterday's newspaper, I was reading something on the Maldives policy towards India. Now since Jaishankar is on a visit to Maldives, as you must have read about it. Now why is Jaishankar visiting Maldives all of a sudden? Because since now Bangladesh has also fallen like a domino card, and now we cannot rely on Bangladesh next government anymore, because that next government is not going to be very pro-India, but they can be anti-India also. So now India is left with options like Maldives. India is left to better its relationship with Maldives, even though Maldives is more of a pro-China government, but still India is trying its best to maintain a status quo relation with Maldives. And plus we have Bhutan left, and as I have always been telling you, Bhutan is not a reliable country in terms of having good relation with India, because Bhutan is quite close to China and it can succumb any day to the pressure of the CCP. Okay, but still, since we need to establish some sort of connectivity, some sort of infrastructure connectivity with Bhutan, so we have designed this railway link. So the proposal is to connect Kokrajhar in Assam to Gelipu in Bhutan, and the length of the bridge will be 67 kilometer. Okay, this is something a prelims question, so you can, this is a prelims question, so next year you can, if you are preparing for 2025, so you can write this down. Okay, this is a proper GK question, so you can simply write it down. So that there will be total of 8 stations, and then there are important bridges also which is going to be connected through this railway link. And the Gelipu station is planned near the airport of Bhutan, which is just 1 kilometer from the Gelipu airport. So it is mostly like a tri connectivity, like there will be a railway link, there will be an airport, and also there is a road connectivity. Okay, next we have famous personalities. So this is an article of the week. Etia tumaloke a bosor 2000 sorry তোমালোকে এই বছৰ 2024 যিসকলে মেইনছ পৰীক্ষা দিছিলা, তোমালোকৰ এছে ৰাইটিঙত তোমালোকে হয়তো দেখিছা যে কেতিয়াবা মানে এছে ৰাইটিঙৰ এইবিলাক এইটো বছৰত যিবিলাক প্ৰশ্ন আহিছে, দে আৰ মোষ্টলি ফিলচফিকেল কুৱেশ্যন মোৰ অৰ লেছ. অ'কে, এণ্ড ইট বিকামছ ৰিয়েলি ডিফিকাল্ট ফৰ ছামৱান টু ৰাইট এছ মানে essays which are not constructive in nature, but which are more of a philosophical in nature. Aru there was one question which was one essay which was related to a very famous personality. Etia enekwa dhৰণৰ famous personality ketiba jodi essay writing ot ahe, so how do you know that on whom the essay writing will be asked? So hetu karone I always tell you that it is better for you to follow the Assam Tribune more than the Hindu or the Telegram or something like this, because UPSC candidate follow the Hindu because it is a national level exam. Aru state level exam ot ki hoy kisuman enekwa dhৰণৰ বস্তু মানে থাকে যিবোৰ ধৰা national news বা national newspaper at publish নহয়. For example, Arun Kumar Bhattacharya, he was a true blue champion of labor rights. So if I give you a question on Arun Kumar Bhattacharya, and if I ask you to write an essay on him, most of you will be going blank. Why? Because you don't know who this person is. So that is why we need to read this newspaper as much as we can, because there we are going to get access to people about whom the newspaper is going to write. And since the newspaper is going to write about this person because it has relevance on that particular topic on that particular period, and since this is the week of the Independence Week, therefore every personality that is mentioned here is somewhere or the other related to the Indian independence movement. Now he was a freedom fighter, he was a lawyer, journalist, trade unionist, writer, teacher, actor, and a social worker. So this is an overall overview of the person. Now following in his father's footsteps, he too went to participate in the Indian freedom struggle, and then he was put into jail, but later in 1944 he was released from jail. And in that jail, at one time, he and his father were both locked up in the same jail, which undoubtedly was one of the rare instances in the freedom movement. To ketiao nohoy bapek putekok ekelogote ketiao jailot narakhe, but this was the first instance and probably one of the rarest instance jot bapek putekok ekelogote Britishe jailot rakhisil. Okay, because both of them were freedom fighters. Now the period of confinement had a profound impact on him, and he was deeply influenced by Gandhian principles. Gandhian principle mane principle of non-violence, principle of ahimsa, non-violence, these are the kind of things that he got really into it. Then principle of satyagraha. Now his fondness for khadar attire reflected his allegiance to Gandhian values, and Bhattacharya's academic journey was marked by distinction and hard work. He passed a Praveshika examination in 1942. Ami agote jitu metric porikha diu, so this is mostly like the Praveshika examination. Hetu samoyte bahut manuhe porha huna ta nokore karon school simanu available nasile, but people who were really into the freedom struggle, they were also academically very good. And Arun Kumar Bhattacharya was also one of them. And Bhattacharya graduated in 1950 with honors in economics from JB Jorhat, and then he was a sub-editor for Saptahik Janambhumi. And later, while studying the Guwahati University, he worked for Notun Okhomia and established himself as a fearless and inclusive journalist cum writer. So he was a sub-editor of Saptahik Janambhumi and also of the Notun Okhomia. Now he obtained his master's and law degree from Guwahati University, and upon returning to Dibrugarh that year, he strived to emulate his father's idols, championing the rights of the working class. So ebar tekhete journalist when he started writing for newspapers, after that his next phase of his life was mostly dedicated to the trade union. That year itself, he joined the Central Committee of the Assam branch of the Indian National Trade Union Congress, and then he started working for the benefit of the people who are of the labor class. And in 1957, the Assam Sa Mazdoor Sangha was constituted. So Sa Mazdoor Sangha gom paisa nohoy, amar jeneke tea garden bilak thake, tea gardenor ভালৰ কাৰণে কাম কৰিবলৈ এটা লেবাৰ ইউনিয়ন থাকে, এণ্ড দ্যাট লেবাৰ ইউনিয়ন ইজ কল্ড এজ এ আছাম চাহ মজদুৰ সংঘা. এতিয়া মানে উইদিন দ্য টি গাৰ্ডেন দেৰ ইজ এ ডিফাৰেণ্ট ট্ৰেড ইউনিয়ন, বাট অ'ভাৰঅল গোটেই ট্ৰেড ইউনিয়নছবিলাকক মিলাই পেলাই এটা আছে, সম্পূৰ্ণ এটা সংগঠন এটা আছে, আছাম চাহ মজদুৰ সংঘা. চ' ইভেন দো হি ৱাজ নট আ পাৰ্চন হু বিলং টু দেট কমিউনিটি, ষ্টিল হি started these kind of organization to fight for the labor rights of these people. A year later, he was appointed as a founder editor of the INTUC Mouthpiece Mazdoor. So Mazdoor Mouthpiece, which is actually a publication which is dedicated for the writings related to the tea garden workers. Now, in 1960, he became the secretary of the INTUC State Committee. In that year, he was nominated by INTUC to undergo a 3-month training on the industrial relations in England. So then he went to England and he studied how trade relations happen, because England or parai mostly ki ahisile he capitalism or seat to ahisile. And from there, and because of that, he went to understand how the trade union functions in England, and from there he took out certain points, and then he came to Assam, and then he tried to implement all these things inside the trade union. So from 1984 he served as a general secretary of Assam Sah Kormosari Hongho, and Bhattacharya remained the legal advisor of the state for workers' legislation. And despite his numerous achievements, he remained humble and unpretentious, inspiring reverence and admiration from all who knew him. So tekhetbo down to earth manu asile. So he has done so many things for the state, kintu ketiao gorbho kori pelai mane ketiao he ego loi pelai ketiao kaam kora nai. So anybody who knew him always knew him as someone who is very down to earth person. Now on 11th of August, we have a pilot program to address child malnutrition. Child malnutrition is something which is a grave problem which is affecting our state. Okay, etia ami dekha nai, kintu ami nedekhile mane doesn't mean that the child is not malnourished. So malnourished ketia hoy jetia proper nutritious food na pai. Now pioneering pilot program aimed at combating child malnutrition by incorporating nutrient dense small fish powder into children's diet has shown promising results in the Kamrup district. So eta pilot program eta korisile Kamrup district jate malnutrition to combat koribole ki khua hoisile nutrient dense small fish powder. সৰু মাছ যে থাকে, আমি যেনেকৈ পুঠি মাছ খাওঁ বা দৰিকণা মাছ খাওঁ, আমি যেনেকৈ এইবিলাক মাছ খাওঁ, চ' সেই মাছৰ কি থাকে এটা পাউডাৰ বনোৱা হয়, এণ্ড দেট পাউডাৰ ইজ ভেৰি নিউট্ৰিয়েণ্ট ডেন্স, বিকজ মাছত কি থাকে, ফিছ ইজ একচুৱেলি পিয়'ৰ প্ৰটিন, ইটছ একচুৱেলি কমপ্লিট প্ৰটিন, এণ্ড তাতে তোমাৰ অমেগা হেৰিও থাকে, এণ্ড প্লাছ দেৰ ইজ অলছ' লিটল বিট অফ ফেট অলছ', চ' ইট গিভছ ইউ আ প্ৰপাৰ মিল. চ' সেই ফিছৰ যিটো পাউডাৰ হয়, দেট পাউডাৰ ৱাজ মেড এণ্ড দেন ইট ৱাজ ফেড টু মালনৰিছ কিডছ ইনচাইড দ্য কামৰূপ ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্ট. এইটো পাইলট প্ৰজেক্ট হয়. পাইলট মানে সৰু সৰু জেগাবিলাকক এক্সপেৰিমেণ্ট ফেজ হিচাপে কৰা হয়, এণ্ড ইফ দ্য এক্সপেৰিমেণ্টেল ফেজ ইজ ছাকচেছফুল, তেতিয়া নেশ্যন ৱাইড সেই বস্তুটো ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰা হয়. অ'কে, এণ্ড দেন launched during the Poshan Maah celebration in September 2023, the 6-month initiative has significantly reduced underweight and severe stunting conditions among children and improved their body mass index. So, jitu Poshan Maah asile, which is Poshan month, which was already launched in September 2023. So, ek bosoror karone ei pilot program to kora hoisile, and from there we came to know that this is a project which ultimately yielded which gave a very good result, and there were many children whose growth has actually increased because of that powder, and their body mass index have actually become of a standard rate. Now the project title Pilot Cum Scaling Inclusion of Nutrient Dense Small Fish Powder in Diets Among Preschool of Anganwadi centers and LP school children. So basically it was fed to children who went to Anganwadi and the LP school. Okay. Now spearheaded by Kamrup District Administration with technical support from World Fish, CGR research organization, and financial backing from the A-Part project of RES Society. So this is something tomaloke A2 boss to mark kori loba, World Fish and A-Part project of RES Society. So it's a World Fish, the support from the World Fish, which is an organization, and finance to corporate paise A-Part project of the RES Society in Department of Fisheries, Assam. Okay, these are small news. Hekarne I am telling you, that is why I am telling you over and over again that you do not need to read newspapers like Hindu or something, because it is not relevant for your exam. You will only get the national news, and those national news is already been covered in the Assam Tribune newspaper. Now, fish is a staple diet in Assam, widely consumed and rich in essential nutrients, and recognizing its potential to address nutritional deficiencies. So, fish has been incorporated in their diet as a form of a powder. Okay. Next, we have the tribal development. Now, integrated tribal development project has been inaugurated where, so on the occasion of International Day of the World's Indigenous People, Pramod Borthakur, his MLA, Bishwanath, then Dr. Neha Yadav, she is a district commissioner of Bishwanath, and Loken Das, Chief General Manager of NABARD, all of them have together come and inaugurated the NABARD's Bari, which is horticulture project under tribal development funds. So now there is a word called as Bari. So this Bari is important for you because it is related to the term horticulture. So this is a small news which you can write it down in your notebook, or if you are preparing for your prelims for 2025. So if this word comes into your question, you can immediately interrelate it with horticulture. Okay, it's a project which was undertaken by NABARD. So NABARD is supporting the tribal family with plantation of 25 Tejpur lychee, 240 ark nut, and then 20 coconut and 100 broom grass as border plants. So they are supporting people from the tribal communities to plant these categories of crops like lychee. Okay, lychee mane tumalke jana lisu, then 240 ark nut mane hoise ki tamul. Okay, then 20 coconut and 100 broom grass. Okay, ami je jharu maru je broom grass, that one. So further intercropping of various fruits and vegetables like watermelon, papaya, brinjal, king chili, turmeric, etc. are being promoted with adoption of scientific natural farming practices. So yate ki korise, NABARD is financing them to plant all these, but in a very organic manner. Okay, you do not need to use chemicals in order to raise all these plants. Now on the 12th of August we have environment. So mobile app launched to help mitigate man-elephant conflict. So Aranyak, which is an NGO, which is a leading biodiversity conservation NGO, launched a mobile phone application called as Hathi app. So I have been talking about this Hathi app and also this Aranyak. Aranyak is an organization which works for the which works in regions of the elephant corridor. It basically works to promote harmony between man and elephant, because এটা মানুহে ঘৰ বনাই কি কৰিছে elephant corridor বিলাক encroach কৰিছে. That is why when the elephants try to cross over the border, and since they are very anxious animals, see, elephants দেখাত ডাঙৰ হয়, but they are very anxious creatures. So if a little bit of also, if they find like, you know, somebody is trying to threaten them or something, so they act very aggressively because they're very anxious creatures. So in order to mitigate the tension between human agriculture, since lot of people they go to the forest for agriculture, so that the agriculture is also not destroyed by the elephants, and so that the elephants can also cross over borders and reach from forest to forest by crossing over these villages. So Aranyak is an organization which works for the benefit of the elephants and men. Okay, so they have released this app called the Hathi app, which is mostly as a early warning system, so which alerts the villagers about the presence of wild elephants in the vicinity. And in addition to providing real-time alerts, the app supported by the SBI Foundation. So finance kune korise, SBI korise, and It is like an application which would alert the coming of elephants from one corridor and passing on to the next corridor. So the handbook on solar powered fences compiled in ASBIS by Aranyak official Anjan Borua has detailed information on installation, operation, management and maintenance of these fences, an effective tool for mitigating HEC. Supported by the British Asian Trust and Darwin Initiative, this manual is designed for grassroots community members, for forest department personnel and contractor firms involved in solar fence management. So this entire program is being supported by British Asian Trust and Darwin Initiative. Okay, these are few names, smaller names that you can write it down in your notebook. Next is famous personality. Again মই তোমালোকক কৈছোঁ যে এইবিলাক বস্তু তোমালোকে লোকেল নিউজ পেপাৰতে পাবা. Okay, poet, writer and Rabindranath Bora breathed his last. Now many of you must be thinking, who is Rabindranath Bora? Born in Makum, Bora has 14 poetry collections and short story collections, one novel and innumerable writings to his credit. So many of his famous works include Dirghodinor Prostutire, Nirbahita Homoy, হাইখৰ মানুহ, উত্তৰ প্ৰজন্ম, ৰাতি ভাঙি আহে, কৰবাত ৰ'দৰ গান and ৰ'দৰ চৰাই, etc. So these are certain poetry collections that he has. So you might be having like if you have any kind of notebook, you can write it down, and these are poems who is related to poet Rabindra Bora. So anybody who is interested to give prelims for the next year, these are certain minute questions which you will get in the Assam Tribune. And the 4 short story collections on the writer are Ali Domojat, Purbapor and Okolkhoria Bhoy and Akash Jot Herale. So these are certain short stories. So if you have read any of them, it's very good. If you have not read any of them, it's not required also if you're not into writings or these kind of stuffs. But these are certain important things if you need to know from the prelims perspective. Okay. Next we have is from the environment, which is a forest force. Now this is an article which was written in relation to Assam police. Now Assam is probably one of the few states in India that have developed a forest force to strengthen forest and wildlife protection. So forest force ase, amar yat forest force eta ase, which is very rare in the whole of India. Now the forest protection force, which is FPF, at the Lasit Borfukan Academy at Dergaon. Okay, so this initiative is indeed a significant step in order to commitment of the government to secure forest and wildlife areas. Now Assam currently has 7 notified national parks and about 17 wildlife sanctuaries, 3 tiger reserves, 2 world heritage sites and 2 biosphere reserves. Okay, so to protect the sanctity of these notified areas from being encroached or by illegal settlers, forest protection forces are vital. So first forest protection force was raised in the year 1984. Okay. Next we come to the newly passed out 940 constable of Assam Forest Protection Force have been receiving diverse and rigorous training at Assam Police. So this is recent, not required. But many key wildlife and forest areas are still under encroachment. So almost 65%, as you can see, of the Sonai Rupai Wildlife Sanctuary is under encroachment. So mane illegal manu bilake ahi pelai tate ghor sor banai gute forest pu dhongso kori pelai kheti seti koribo start kori diye. So this is like an encroachment. Okay. Next we come to 13th of August, which is media and culture. So media and culture ki ase Prasar Bharati monot ase ne Doordarshan. Ami agote saisilo Doordarshanot Prasar Bharati mane krikhi udyan tumarko krikhi related sob jibilak program hoy so Prasar Bharati te diya agote. So Prasar Bharati to produce TV serial on Lasit Borfukan. The Prasar Bharati in collaboration with Government of Assam will produce at least 52 episodes on legendary General Lasit Borfukan of the Ahom dynasty. The series will be broadcasted across Prasar Bharati's platform, including Akashvani, Doordarshan and its digital service Prasar Bharati News Services. I don't know if anybody watches TV these days, but Prasar Bharati kyo delay, I don't know, but they could have telecasted in other of the, they could have made, a lot of collaborations with other as you can see, the more digital platforms. So this must be maybe to government or kiba eta mane heri thakibo for the collaboration, but mostly as personally I feel like there should have been more on the digital platform, because notun generation e Lasit Borfukoner kotha iman eta gom napai, how his contribution is actually very very important for the Assam. So this series aims to delve into life and exploits of legendary Ahom general, shedding light into his strategic brilliance, so how he defeated the Mughals. So by documenting his extraordinary journey, this series endeavors to celebrate and commemorate invaluable contributions of Lasit. Now on the ranking, we have National Institute ranking framework. So IIT Madras has received the top spot in all of the National Institute ranking framework for the 6th consecutive year. So IIT Madras has become one of the top ranking institutes. And then next comes is the Indian Institute of Science, which is in Bangalore, and this was ranked as one of the best university for the 9th year in a row. So Delhi University rank has been from 11 to 6, so Delhi has improved. So behind IIT Madras there is IISc Bangalore, and then who took the second spot, and then we come to IIT Bombay and then IIT Delhi, which became the third spot. So both of them have become the third spot. So 8 IITs figured in the top 10 besides All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi and JNU. So JNU also, AIMS also, they have also been under one of the top 8 institutes. So IIT Guwahati has been ranked as the 9th institute among all the country, and then Guwahati University is at 57th position in terms of the university ranking, and NIT Silchar has received the 92nd ranking. But among state public universities, GU has received 13, while Dibrugarh University has been ranked 28. So eto bostu confuse no hoba, because Guwahati University has been ranked in keeping with all the institute, like there are IITs also, there are IISCs also, there are AIMS also. So all institute, keeping in mind their rank has been 57 and NIT Silchar, but only ranking the state public universities, then Guwahati University rank has become 13 aru Dibrugarh kiman hoise 28. Constitution eta bostu we have found out, which is Parliament pandemonium. So what is Parliament pandemonium? Recently you must have seen about the heated debate on the Vice President and also Jaya Bachchan, how they entered into a heated argument in the session of the Rajya Sabha. Now this is a history of Parliament democracy in India, is a source of great pride for the country, and India is respected globally as the largest and one of the most successful democracies. Indeed it is. So yet the behavior displayed by some MPs during parliamentary sessions has left the public disappointed and in disbelief. So she apparently said that that the Vice President, who is a chairman, who is a vice chairman of the, who is a chairman, ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, she said that, sir, you are my colleague, but actually he is not her colleague. MPs are not supposed to be colleague of a chairman. Okay, so this is like an ex officio chairman. So he is someone who is at the top. He needs to conduct the session of the Rajya Sabha. So she has been having a very heated argument with the Vice President also. So thankfully she was not thrown out of the Rajya Sabha. Her nomination was not cancelled. So but in future if she does that, then definitely her nomination will get cancelled. And this is not the only thing, but even in Lok Sabha you will see that people have resorted to gali galoch more and more. So I was watching one parliamentary debate of around 1990s, when the BJP government was in power, but only with the alliance. So BJP was not in a full power, but it is only with the support of the other parties like Mamata Banerjee's party and other. So they and then Nitish Kumar, they have all supported the BJP government in the late 90s. So at that point of time, when the opposition, they started saying something to the BJP government, to the ruling party at that point of time, it was a coalition party. But the way they were trying to say each and everything was very keeping in mind the critical nature of the entire debate. They kept the sanctity of the parliament. But today, if you see the parliament, it is more of a gully galoche. Everybody will resort to all sorts of language they can use, they can twat, they can trouble, and they can use any sort of parliamentary language which they feel, which is against the decorum of the parliament. So when we study the parliamentary proceedings or the decorum, there is something which is a statement which is mentioned, which is called as a decorum. So by decorum we mean that we have to maintain the sanctity of the parliament, okay, which sadly none of today's MPs have been doing. So sports, we have lessons learned from Paris Olympics. So what lessons have we learned? So India aimed high, targeting a double digit medal tally, but finished with 6 medals, 1 silver and 5 bronze, placing the nation at 71st in the overall ranking. Okay, but overall this is a good thing that Manu Bhaker, who emerged as a standout performer, and 2 bronze medals in the women's 10-meter air pistol and mixed teams 10-meter air pistol, was the first Indian athlete to win 2 medals in a single edition of the games in the post-independence era. So this is a good news. But Sarabjit Singh, Swapnil Khul also clinching medals, India secured highest ever medal haul in a single discipline. But Neeraj Chopra added a silver. Aman Sherawat's bronze in wrestling, and the hockey team, obviously they have performed very well. But however, despite these individual achievements, the overall performance of Indian contingents highlights the need of introspection and the strategic planning. So the fact that Indian athletes narrowly missed a medal on 6 occasions is very encouraging and also disappointing. Like for example, Lakshya Sen in badminton, shooting teams of Arjun Babota and Bhekar, Anandjit Singh Naruka and Maheshwari Chauhan, Dheeraj Bumdewara and Ankit Bhakkar in archery. So these are people who have missed their medals. So why they have missed their medals? Firstly, the kind of training that they undergo is very different from people who get very good trainings in countries like China and USA. So there is very less funding which is given to sports in India. So if they receive proper funding, if they receive proper infrastructure for their sports, and definitely then people like Lakshya Sen, people like Arjun Babuta and Anandjit Singh, they're definitely going to perform much better in the next. So we might be even able to secure not one but more than one gold. Okay, so incident involving wrestler like Vinesh Phogat, which became a very India's campaign, is a tragic reminder of the importance of accountability and the need of a more athletic centric approach. Okay, so this is something what was a coach was doing, what other things she needed to do. Was there any help at that point of time to help her out with her weight distribution and stuffs like that? So they did not receive much help as the other players of the other countries receive at that point of time. So they have to finance their own sport when they go to Olympic, which is a very saddening thing when it comes to India sports. Now, law and history, Guwahati High Court recognizes Chitrabon Bakori instead of Idgah Maidan. So there is one legal battle which has been going on for a public land, which is called as Chitrabon Bakori. But because there have been lot of people who go there and who pray during the Eid session, or you can say they go there and they do their namaz and all, so mostly the name had been mostly like Idgah Maidan. But in this Tejpur city, when they filed a public report in the High Court said that the name has to be Chitrabon Bakori because it has been used as a public platform for Bihu celebrations for a long time back, and people have recently only used this as an Idgah Maidan, so the name cannot be translated to Idgah Maidan. The name has to be Chitrabon Bakori. Okay, next is on the 14th of August. Now, freedom martyrs. So statues of martyrs Bibiram Bora and Manik Bora unveiled and Kamrup KB Middle School. So these were freedom fighters. Okay, Bibiram Bora and Manik Bora, they belong to Kamrup and they used to be freedom fighters. Now, environment and wildlife, we have World Elephant Day. Now, World Elephant Day was observed on Monday in the Kanchanjuri and Rangalu areas adjacent to the Kaziranga National Park and Tiger Reserve to highlight the importance of role played by giant species in the ecosystem. So these pachyderms help in the growth of new vegetation because of the seeds of plants both flowering and non-flowering, which these herbivores consume, remain undigested and get released along with their dung, which facilitates growth of new plants and vegetations. Okay, so their dung actually has a lot of new seeds, so they help in germination of seeds and other stuff. So it's mostly like a recycling of the plants. So these herbivores, they consume these undigested and get released along their tongue, which can be used as a natural vegetation. Okay, now freedom fighter, we have Rani Gaidinliu, a true patriot. This is the last article of today's session. So born to mother Kerot Len Liu and father Lothwan on January 26, 1950 at Longkhao village in the present Tosem subdivision of Tamenglong districts in Manipur. So she was born in Manipur and she belonged to the Rongme tribe. Now Gaidinliu had the chance to meet Mahatma Gandhi in 1926 when he visited Assam, and accompanied by Jadonang, and she took an oath to her motherland from the Imperial British Hereka means pure. So she took an oath. The name of the oath is called Hereka, and which means pure. Okay, and it was a kind of a reformed kind of a religion. So it had its own ceremonies, rites, rituals, customs that were banned by the British government. So Gaidinliu led the revolutionary movement against the British, which is in the year 1927, and Jadonang was arrested by the British and sentenced to death and hanged in Imphal jail on 29 1931. So Jadonang is her father, who was hanged, implicating a false murder case on him, and after that it was a very turning point for Rani Gaidinliu. So at this juncture, Gaidinliu took the responsibility of directing the agitation in Manipur and Naga Hills, and Gaidinliu urged her people to participate in the civil disobedience movement, and she also organized an army of nearly 500 people and imparted military training to them. So there had been a fierce battle also on February 1932 between Gaidinliu's forces and the British army at Hungrum village in North Kachar Hill districts of Assam. So Gaidinliu also lost 7 of her comrades there, and British government declared her as a terror of the northeast. So with her army, she reached such an havoc to the British that even the British had to declare her as a terror. So British government laid an extensive intelligence network all around Zaliangrong areas and Manipur, Naga Hills and Assam just to catch her. So Gaidinliu moved constantly from village to village. She was smart, so she didn't get caught from the spy, and then she also used to hold secret meetings with people. Her works for the cause of her nation influenced the Mao, which is Shifen and Maram, called as Mahar, Nagas of northern Manipur, and even Nagas in Naga Hills and North Kachar Miki Hills of Assam. And then following the footsteps of Gaidinliu, even the Naga community, they came together to fight against the British. So in 1937, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru met her in Shillong jail and described Gaidinliu as Rani, which is the daughter of the hills, or also called as queen of her people. Okay, so this is the last news for today. I hope all of you have liked today's session. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write it down on the comment section. So see you again. Till then, take care and all the best.